So tonight's Viewpoint lecture speaker is Ainaz Alipour, and she is an interdisciplinary artist and filmmaker, driven by a deep sense of social consciousness. As a creator and storyteller, her work traverses diverse mediums and disciplines. Having lived in both Iran and the United States, she's discovered a unique in-between state of existence, a constant interplay between two worlds, never fully arriving or entirely leaving. Her works have earned recognition and awards and have been showcased in esteemed international film festivals like AIFVF, SWIF, and the Liftoff Film Sessions. She has lived and worked in the United States since 2019, so please join me in welcoming very warmly Ainaz Alipour.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I'm going to start sharing my screen. So to dive into directly to the lecture. All right. All right. So thank you so much for being here tonight. My name is Ainaz Alipour, and I'm an interdisciplinary artist originally from Iran. My work explores the interplay between digital and tangible forms with a focus on cultural representation in art and its potential to reinforce and challenge power structure. Today I'm excited to share my artistic journey with you all, particularly focus on my project, The Slab Eaters, which is currently exhibited as a part of Skyway 2024, a contemporary collaboration at the Ringling Museum of Art. Right. So growing up in Iran, I developed a deep passion for literature and poetry, which later evolved into a fascination with the film language and video as I grew older. While working in video, I found myself constantly thinking about the relationship between video and physical space. In 2018, I explored the connection through a video installation at an abandoned factory on Hormuz Island in southern Iran. This project was one of my early experiments with integrating moving image into an immersive environment, and it generally influenced the way I approach video and video installation art today. At the same time, I became fascinated by the relationship between the author and the viewer and how viewers' experience can influence the narrative of the piece. This idea drove me to explore how interaction and choice affect the storytelling in a piece. In 2018, I worked on an interactive video installation that challenged the concept of temporality in cinematic narratives. And the piece featured, as you can see here on the screen, 28 peepholes, and the viewer could choose which one of them to look through, and effectively shaping like their own experience of the story. And the narrative revolved around the multiple interactions between a guest and a host speaking from behind the door, and the viewer's perception of the story depended on the time they spent with the piece and the sequence of choice that they've been choosing through interactivity of the project. This work marked an important step in my exploration on interactive work and participatory art. Then in 2019, I moved to the United States and created Audience, which was a short film that I made during my time at a film school. The film follows a young daydreamer named Seth who watches a movie at his local movie theater. The movie he's watching actually is about a character searching for a lost person in their neighborhood. As the film progresses, Seth himself becomes the lost person in the movie he was watching, blurring the lines between the fiction and reality. The narrative takes a challenging turn when the movie character steps into the Seth's real world, into the movie. Actually, this story was inspired in character and a story. I was inspired by one of Bahram Sadeqi's short stories from his masterpiece Sangar va Qumqumehay Khali, which the translation is The Foxhole and Empty Sacks. And this work allows me to explore themes of perception, narrative fluidity, and the interaction between reality and imagination, which have become recurring elements later on in my practice. Then during the COVID pandemic, actually I want to play this, but hopefully it doesn't have an audio. Yes, okay. So during the COVID pandemic, I started learning computer animation and also 2D animation. And I used my time to learn Unity game engine and computer animation, as I said, which opened up a new possibility for my practice. This project that I'm playing parts of it on the screen right now is a video generated from my facial movements created using a facial capturing app, which I created with Unity, and then I recorded that. The piece explores the themes of distortion and identity through the lens of technology. And by intentionally using a bug in the application, the face becomes increasingly distorted as the video progresses, and it mirrors the absurdity and tension in the accompanying, like the voiceover and the narratives going through the video. And the voiceover actually instructs to the audience on how to chew a gum, and it creates a humorous yet unsettling commentary on the conformity and cultural assimilation. Then at the same time that I was experimenting with computer animation and learning how to develop interactive projects in Unity, I was also began working on 2D animation. That became actually that project that I was doing during that year became really personal. And at the time, it had only been about 6 months since I immigrated to United States that the lockdown happened, and this project left me experiencing much of my daily life through, at that point, I found myself experiencing my daily life through the screens, especially I didn't know much of like anybody in the United States. And so this constant mediation through screens made me reflect on my relationship with them and how they shaped my sense and in my everyday life as I was experiencing myself in the immigration as well. So for this piece, I used my phone camera to record my performance and then created hand-draw frame-by-frame animation on the footages that I was recording. And this process felt like an ongoing dialogue between myself and my recorded image and between my image and the screen. Here I use a rotoscope animation technique, which allowed me to emphasize my physical presence and in a way reconcile with my fear of disappearing. This piece reflects on a personal attempt to anchor myself amid the dual pressure of transition and disconnection. I'm going to play some part of this animation.
Is how you are. Hola. Is how you are. Hola. Is how you are. Hola. Is how you are. Hola.
All right. So after all these works that I was exploring different type of animation, I realized that working with screens and digital language alone was not enough for me to express what I wanted to express. And this realization just led me to apply for a MFA program, which I ended up going to University of South Florida, where I could deepen my practice and explore new ways of connecting digital and tangible medias together. One of the first direction actually that I pursued during the program was transforming those 2D animations into a 360 experience. This shift allowed me to expand the emotional and spatial depth of my work, immersing viewers in a layered journey. And my goal with these pieces was to guide the audience through layers of image and emotions using the quality of fantasy and horror. And I aim to create spaces that ask the viewer to interrogate how those moments of discomfort and otherness can summon, preserve, and project memories from the past, present, and future, whether they are real or imagined. And these are exactly what all the ideas that was going on in my head at the time. So this is a 360 version of that animation that I created, and and so the animation we just saw was being playing through this VR headset while the viewer was sitting on this 14 pillow that I started to make. Actually, these are like the first steps that the slab eater is coming to my practice and how I build on my each project going further. So here at this stage in my practice, I began to focus on physical experience of viewer as they engage with the digital reality. It was the first time I truly considered how the body interacts with immersive space, not just as the passive observer, but as an active participant. And this shift in my perspective allowed me to explore how physicality and digitality can interact, create a multisensory experience, and where the viewer's presence and movement become integral to the work itself. And this exploration, as I said, become built on layered by layered until what I'm working today. And at the same time, some of the other projects I was working, I delved deeper into the language of computer animation and digital media. My focus shifted toward translating the concept of the physical self into the digital forms, exploring how the body could exist and express itself via like virtual spaces. To achieve this, I began experimenting with some techniques such as 3D scanning, motion capture, and these tools allowed me to capture the nuances of physicality and reinterpretation of self into the digital realm and blurring the boundaries between the tangible and virtual. Then at this stage, I was also began to conceptualizing and translating the idea of inner body into because I was finding myself in transitional space after immigration. So like I was projecting on the transitional spaces, such as like the subway station here. And I started to capture the inner body texture and projecting them on the space of like, for this project particularly, it was like a subway station. And I built this again in Unity, and it was like a interactive experience. And here I just have a screen capture of the experience. And throughout like the whole digital environment, I had like some cues for the viewer to go and look through them and pick up the story. And this one was the first interactive environment that I built in Unity, actually. And then after all of these, I moved to Slab Eaters, which represents the culmination of many ideas I had been exploring at the time. And this project brought together themes of body, materiality, and the intersection of the digital and tangible in the physical space. The human body, as you saw, is like always central to my work, especially as Slab Eater. I use the here, I use the counter of my own body to create soft sculptures, incorporated my body posture in motion capture and digital modeling, and considered how audience would navigate their own body through the video installation here as well. Through these elements, I aim to depict the dynamics and politics of the body, how they exist, move, and interact in both physical and virtual spaces. And Slab Eaters became exploration of my presence, of my agency, and the role of the body in storytelling and representation. This project is composed of several distinct layers that they work together to create a cohesive experience. As with my other projects, my own body plays a central role here in Slab Eaters as well. A sense of comfort and being grounded was something I wanted to share, while the viewer experienced at the same time the digital layer. So I countered all these sculptural elements of the posture of my body sitting on the floor. Then to achieve this, I draw my own body form, and this piece was designed to serve as an anchor for viewer, allowing them to connect with their physical reality while engaging with the digital layer of the work. And this dual experience, being physically grounded while experiencing the immersive digital space, was an essential part of the project concept. It highlights the interplay between the tangible and intangible, creating a space of reflection and interaction. Then here are some shots of the Skyway opening, of how viewer were experiencing and interacting with like the soft sculpture. And I was looking for a sense of comfort and happiness in the sculptural elements. And I think I got a good response through what I was aiming to get from the viewer. Then the video layer of the project. So I'm gonna, because this video has the audio, I'm gonna play it after. But the video layer of the Slab Eaters consists of a single channel video being projected throughout the whole gallery, creating an immersive digital environment that surrounds the viewer. At the time, I was reflecting on my experience of being among other, questioning my sense of belonging, and questions like, am I part of the community? Does this community functions? If yes or no, how? And how do individuals within a group influence and reflect on each other? And these questions guided the narrative and visual elements of the video, which explored the dynamics of collective existence. By immersive viewer in this digital space, I wanted to evoke both the connection and disconnection we experience within the communities, and encouraging them to reflect on their own relationship with others. And these questions, I was constantly thinking about these questions, because I had this feeling of like, so I left my community that I grew up in behind. And now as I start to find myself in this new environment, interacting with people, and how this is going to work out for me and how it functions. And basically, this is the video and the audio layer, which is playing in the gallery. Then the final layer of the Slab Eaters involve a VR component, which immerse the viewer in a first-person point of view within the digital environment. So my goal was to, like, when the viewer and the audience enter the gallery, find themselves first in the comfort of soft sculpture, and then they start watching through the videos on the wall, or they feel comfortable to get deepen into another layer of the work. And if yes, they could, obviously by their choice, they could ask for the VR headset and then experience being among these digital characters. And what's happening was that they could, I think I should have okay, I'm gonna play this while I'm speaking, but this is just my record of the VR experience for the flat screen. So in the VR version, you can, you find yourself, the first point of view you have, you're getting kicked by one of these characters, and then you can look up, look right or left, go further, put yourself actually inside one of these bodies. And what I was thinking was like, although there is like this burden of all of these bodies around you, because this is not in the physical realm, you actually do not feel any weight on yourself. And that was my experience with the VR. But I actually never get to see how the viewer experienced the VR version in the Ringling to get their reactions about that. And also you have the access to like separate yourself from that community and look through them from like a further distance. And I think, yeah, this was my last slide. And I think it went quickly. But yeah, back to you, Kaylee. And I'm gonna.
Yeah, I think perfect. Quickly, but so deep and rich, and like just thank you so much for sharing so much of yourself and your practice and how you approach your work. So thank you so much for all of that generosity that you shared with us tonight. Folks, we're going to open it up to questions, so you're very welcome to either just unmute yourself and ask or pop it in the chat or the Q&A box. I'm monitoring both. But to just kind of get us started with a question as you all take a moment to jump in as well, I wanted to ask you something, Ainaz, about the connections that you see between memory and the human body. And so you talked a little bit about how sometimes discomfort summons memory. And so you use sort of horror and the human body in uncomfortable juxtapositions to evoke that memory with you. How could you explain a little bit about how you see that connection between memory and the human body, like playing out in your work or in life? Yeah, what's the connection between those two things for you?
Yeah, so I guess after I came to United States, I have flashbacks to my past more often comparing to like whenever I was in my country. And so like I'm a visual artist and I live in my imagination, and I also have this perception over my body. And it's like, for me, it was so fascinating how like even moving physically from another part of the world to a new part literally affect your body and the shape of your body. Like, so how you gain weight or like how your body shapes literally start to change, or vice versa. For me, I gained weight and I changed like multiple sizes, but and it was actually it was really more real for me because I was thinking about it more in United States. I was thinking about my body a lot. And about the relationship of the memory, I guess it goes to the perception of how I perceive my physical reality, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting how you communicate that too. I'm an educator, so I talk to people a lot in the galleries, and many people have mentioned that memory is so visceral and you have like a physical reaction sometimes to it as well, and your work really evokes that. We had one comment as well mentioning how challenging it is to dive into such deep and unsettling emotions, yet you create a sense of comfort for the viewers at the same time. And that balance is incredibly powerful and inspiring. And yeah, I second that, especially seeing how people do interact with the headset, with the VR headset in the gallery. And even though sometimes the experience can be like jarring or claustrophobic for some, oftentimes people do seem to leave with that sense of calm, which is something that's always intrigued me. And then Ola, did you have a question too?
I do, and I'm sorry, in an annoying way, I'm trying to start my video. Hi there. I didn't not want to say hi to you properly. Hi, Ines. One question that we receive a lot is about your title. It's strange, it's wonderful. I know it's rooted in an art theoretical text. So if you could speak a little bit about Slap Eater, how you arrived at it, probably through reading, and also are any of your other titles informed by writing?
Absolutely. So my passion for art started with literature. And when I come to United States and start doing visual art, I kind of, getting separated from my own language, and I don't want that to happen. So for like 90% of the time, I just pick my title in Farsi and then translate it to English. But the thing is that I think about the words or phrases that convey my feeling, and I also about how the translation creates another layer to the meaning of the layer. So actually, Slap Eaters is based off this Farsi phrase Kotak Khoran, which is like slap takers. But instead of, I directly translated it, and instead of like slap takers, I changed it to slap eaters. And in my head, it was like, all right, these people are eating the slaps, they are digesting it, and they're not taking it, and for me, it was like kind of painful and kind of funny at the same time. And what you mentioned about the theory behind it, do you want to talk about that too?
Sure. By that I meant that it's a Baudrillard text, right? Correct. That's something that you've talked about in the past, that it's specific nomadic, or what the writer talks about nomads. I think it's like a nickname that he gives them, if my memory is correct. And that's super interesting. I don't know if you want to speak to that a little bit.
I think about the nomadic experience, it's about like how you take an object. For me, it was my body, and here the title, the language, how you take it and present it in different places and, different nations and different countries or cultures or any other system of representation, and how you change them.
All right. Any other questions? Ola, do you have any more?
No, I was just going to say thank you for that presentation and everything, and answering my questions. But yeah, is there anyone else that would like to ask any?
All right. Well, as always, if questions come later, you're always welcome to email education@ringling.org. And if we can't answer it, we can usually find you an answer. I wanted to just echo Ola and say thank you so much for providing this talk. We're really excited to not only have Slap Eaters here for such a good long period of time as well, many months, so thousands of people having the opportunity to interact with your work, but also giving your time with us today over Zoom, and the ability to record this message and share it a little bit more broadly as well. So thank you so much for that generosity and for sharing so much of yourself with us through the art and also through tonight's talk. I am going to go ahead and turn it back over to Ainaz if you have any final words or messages that you wanted to share with everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for hosting tonight, and thank you very much, Ola. for having my work, and Skyway honestly was like such a amazing experience for me. It was my first experience presenting my work in a museum, and so especially in the Ringling, that many people from different range of age get to interact with my work, and it was really exciting and amazing to see that. So I really appreciate that as well.
Oh, thank you for sharing it with us. It's such an exciting work. It's so different within the exhibition where so many media are more traditional. So to have your work is a refreshing thing. So thank you for sharing it.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you again, Ainaz, for tonight's talk. And folks, if you haven't seen Slap Eaters at the Ringling yet, you have until January 21st, 25th, 25th,
26th, but I always say
26th.
something else. So
I
end of January.
late 20s, the January in the 20s era,
Yes.
to view it. So a few more months on view. And there are still a few exhibitions that you can catch of Skyway 2024 throughout our region. So do make sure to see those as well. Thank you everyone for coming. Ainaz, thank you so much for your time. We're going to go ahead and log it off here, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Take care.